Holy, if you have a look at the esoteric meaning of it, it means that we need to burn out all desires and lust. A lot of the commies, claim that Holika was a Bahujan lady, and as Hindus we burn a Dalit woman and a Bahujan woman like Holika on Holi and celebrate, which is absolutely wrong.
Of course, Holi for us Hindus, it's the time when we meet one another, we play with colors, have fun, and most importantly, we welcome the heat of the summer season after the winter chill. This is the underlying cultural unity, I would say, of this beautiful land, Bharat, which binds each and every region from the north to the south and the west to the northeast into one single territorial entity.
Namaste and welcome to Citti Media's Vaishali Dialogue. My name is Ratnadeep Chakraborty and I'm your host for today. The festival of Holi signifies the arrival of spring, the end of winter, and it is known by a diverse range of traditions, including the Latma Holi, the Holika Dahan. And now close to where I come from in Bengal, the idols of Bhagavan Krishna and Radha Mata are paraded after being placed on swings, and who can forget the Vasant Utsav in Shantiniketan. Now, what are the historical significance of Holi and the larger message behind the celebrations? To discuss this and much more, I'm delighted and honored to have two wonderful Devis on my show today. Dr. Ankita Dutta is the Assistant Professor, Center for Indic Studies at Indus University. She is researcher on Hindu civilization heritage of Northeast Bharat, writer, public speaker, and columnist. I'm also joined by Prerna Thiruvaipati ji. She is an independent Indic research scholar specializing in the field of Vaishnava Bhakti, Dalit, and human rights. She has a long experience in working with victims of religious conversion, especially Dalit women and children. Let me take this opportunity to bow down to both of you for all the selfless seva that you do. Thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us today.
Thank you so much for having us today, Ratnadeep. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Ratnadeep ji, for inviting me today on this platform and with such an eminent co-panelist, Prerna ji, just a day before the festive occasion of Holi begins. Thank you so much.
So I wanted to start with Prerna ji actually, that one of the famous stories that we hear in the southern part of the country is the marriage of Bhagavan Shiva and Parvati. And it comes with an interesting story of how Bhagavan Shiva actually burned Kamdeva into ashes. So what is the significance of the story, and what is the significance of the story in respect to Holi?
Okay, so as the Puranic story goes, Lord Shiva was in deep meditation, and he was in no mood to get married and become a grahastha. But in order to kill Tarkasura the demon, he would have to get married to Parvati Devi, who in her previous janma was Sati Devi. We all know how during Daksha Yagna, Sati Devi, had left her body, and how the Shakti Peeths emerged. So now what happened later on is Sati Devi was reincarnated as Parvati Devi, as the daughter of Himavant, and she was a princess, and then she had done severe austerities, and her only wish was to marry Shivji. So when Devi Parvati was doing immense penance, Lord Shiva was, in his own, doing his own meditation. And then what happens is Kamadev, who is supposed to be the Lord of love and compassion, as you can say, or maybe even some would also say love and lust, he actually, intervenes and tries to help out Parvati Devi, and shoots an arrow at Shivji, and then Shivji is supposed to have burnt him with this third eye. Now Kamdev's wife Rati Devi is devastated that Kamdev has been burnt to ashes, and Rati Devi requests Lord Shiva to at least revive him so that at least she's able to see him in the Sukshma Sharira, if not his Sthula Sharira, if not his physical body, at least she should be able to see him in his, in his auric form. At least he should be visible to her. So Lord Shiva, accepts this plea of the devastated Rati Devi, the wife, and agrees and revives Kamadeva. So this is the basic story that we have in the Puranas. And Holi, if you have a look at the esoteric meaning of it, it means that we need to burn out all desires and lust, and it also signifies new beginnings where there is purity and pure love. So there's a big difference between lusting over somebody and loving somebody, right? So the Dahan of Kamadeva signifies burning away all our desires and lust and everything, and transforming ourselves. So so how he turns to ashes and then transforms into his the Sukshma Sharira. It also signifies that for human beings. So burn away all our desires and transform into better human beings is what the story goes. There's another story from down south, from Tamil Nadu, where they also celebrate. So on this Vasant Purnima or the Falguna Purnima, the wedding of Sundareshwara also takes place. The form of Lord Shiva and Parvati down in the south. Meenakshi Devi is Parvati Devi. They call her Meenakshi, and Sundareshwara, that is Lord Shiva. So the Kalyanam also takes place over here. So this is one story of Lord Shiva, and once Lord Shiva gets married to Parvati Devi, that is when Lord Kartikeya is born, and he's the one who does the samhara of the demon Tarkasura. This is one story, and there is another story which is quite popular up north as well, if I may continue, Ratnadeepji, is of from the Krita Yuga or the Satya Yuga of Holika. So there's a lot of controversy regarding this Holika Dahan as well. A lot of the commies claim that Holika was a Bahujan lady, and as Hindus we burn a Dalit woman and a Bahujan woman like Holika on Holi and celebrate, which is absolutely wrong. But if you actually go back and have a look at our Puranas, the story of Holika is from the time of Prahalada, the absolute devotee of Lord Vishnu. So his father, Prahalada's father, we are aware, was Hiranyakashyap. Hiranyakashyap tries his best to kill Prahalada because Prahalada refuses to worship him and instead is a huge, great, devout, worshipper of Lord Vishnu. And then we know about the avatar of Narsimha. But in between this, in the process of trying to kill Prahalada, Hiranyakashyap requests his sister Holika. So Holika is supposed to be the sister of Hiranyakashyap, and she had a boon that she would not ever be destroyed by fire or Agni. She was immune to Agni. So Prahalada's father Hiranyakashyap requests Holika to sit with the child Prahalada in her lap and burn him to ashes. Now, what happens miraculously? Prahalada is saved by Lord Vishnu, and he comes unscathed from the Agni, from the fire that is lit. But Holika gets burnt to ashes. This is the basic story which is mentioned in our Puranas. Now, let us refute this thing about her being a Bahujan or a Dalit, as they claim in different universities, JNU, Jadavpur, wherever they claim. Now, who was Hiranyakashyap? Hiranyakashyap was the son of Rishi Kashyap and Diti Devi, right? He was an Asura. He was born to Rishi Kashyap and Diti Devi. Now, Rishi Kashyap is one of the 7 Saptarishis in our Puranas and in our Itihasa. We recognize him as a Rishi, and his wife Diti. Now, how is a sister of Hiranyakashyap, who is also a Rakshasi herself, how is she a Bahujan or a Dalit? It's the same thing like Ravan, who is supposed to be, from the great Pulastya Rishi's lineage, is called a Dalit, and some self-proclaimed Dalit leaders also call themselves Ravan nowadays. That's not the case. So Holika is the sister of Hiranyakashyap, and she is the one who gets immolated in the fire or in Agni. And that is why what we do, even in the north and down south, is they light these bonfires, huge bonfires, to signify the burning away of our desires and lust, and emerging as your purer self. So these are some of the stories. And there's one story from the Dwapar Yuga, if I may continue, of Lord Krishna, and then I will request Ankita ji to enlighten us more about Lord Krishna. So this is the Holika Dahan. We also have the Dolki. So there's one more story from our Itihasa, that Sri Krishna, when he was a baby, he was first put into the cradle on this day of Purnima, Vasanta Purnima, and that was also the day that he did the samhara, or he, destroyed the demoness or the ogress Putana. So this is one more story. So she comes on the behest of Kansa, Putana, and tries to kill baby Krishna, but baby Krishna instead, kills her, or rather, releases her of the papa of being an ogress, and then she attains moksha. So that is one story, and I'll allow Ankita ji to.
Yeah. So, Ankita ji, my question to you is that we have covered the southern and the northern part. I want to go to the northeastern part for a while and understand the Dol Utsav. In the Barpeta region, you mentioned it's the celebrated Dol Utsav. It's between 3 to 5 days, and it's one of the most visited places during the Dol Utsav, actually. So, tell us about how the celebrations actually happen in the Assam region in the Barpeta Satra.
Wonderful question, Ratnati ji. Thank you so much for putting across that question. And Prerna ji, already she has explained it beautifully. She explained to us the different stories associated with Holi. And of course, Holi for us Hindus, is the time when we meet one another, we play with colors, have fun, and most importantly, we welcome the heat of the summer season after the winter chill. Now, coming to your specific question on the famous Dol Utsav festival of the culturally rich Borpeta district of Assam, I am being reminded of the Borpeta Hotra, which is so much closely intertwined with the Assamese cultural and religious sensibilities. Earlier known as the Borpeta Than, the Borpeta Hotra was established by Srimanta Shankardev's foremost disciple, Sri Madhav Dev, in 1583 AD. After spending around 8 years in Borpeta, Sri Madhav Dev passed on the responsibility to look after this Hotra to Sri Mathura Das Burhata in 1595 AD. And it was under the able leadership and initiative of Mathura Das Burhata that the festival of Holi came to be celebrated as Deul or Dol Utsav or Phalgun Utsav at the Borpeta Hotra. Also, under the guidance of Mathura Das Burhata, the Vrindavani Vastra was intricately woven by a host of disciples of the Borpeta Hotra, depicting scenes from various episodes of Sri Krishna Leela. And even today, Holi is popularly known as Deul or Dol Utsav or Dol Purnima in Borpeta, and it is centered around the worship of Bhagavan Krishna in his different avatars. It is ritualistically celebrated every year by the Hindus of Assam at the Borpeta Hotra, which is visited by thousands of devotees at this time of the year, so that they can be just a part of this colorful festival. The Borpeta Dol Utsav, it is an integral part and parcel of the Assamese Hindu culture and traditions, because without it, any celebration of Holi in any part of the state is considered to be incomplete even today. As per astrological alignments, the Dol Utsav festivities continue for around 3 to 5 days in Borpeta. The 3 days Dol festival is called Deka Dol, and the 4 or 5 day Dol festival is known as the Burha Dol. Now, as per tradition, the 4 day Dol festival is held in the month of Fagun Purnima, the full moon night, and the 3 day Dol is observed in the month of Chot Purnima. The first day of this festival is called Gandha Sava or Gandha Jatra, and also sometimes among certain communities, it is also known as Banhut Sava. When the murtis of Mahaprabhu Dol Govinda and Kaliya Thakur, they are beautifully dressed in new costumes and ornaments and other traditional finery, and they are brought out to the courtyard of the main Namghar. So Namghar is the main, for those who might not know, Namghar is the main prayer hall of the Vaishnavite Assamese Hindus. The rituals and festivities begin with the burning of the Mehda, which is, the burning of the Mehda takes place with locally manufactured firecrackers, and it signifies the killing of asuras and demons and all other evil spirits lurking around us. And this mehda, it is made out of locally grown reeds and stems of the water hiking plant. And this ceremony is quite similar to that of Holika Dahan, which is observed in other parts of the country on the same day, and about which Prerna ji has already explained it very beautifully. Men and women could be seen clinging onto the murtis of Dol Govinda and Kaliya Thakur while they take circles around the bonfire. The second day is known as Bhara Dol, when various religious rites and rituals and even cultural performances which are associated with the Mahapurukya Nam Dharma tradition of Srimanta Shankar Dev, such as Nam Praphanga, Oja Pali, Gayan Bayan, and Dhuliya Nritya are held at the premises of the Namghar by the Assamese Vaishnavas. And the last day of the Dol Utsav festival at Borpeta is called Phakua, when the murtis are taken out in dols or dola or doli that we say in Hindi, and people offer their prayers and throw phaku. Phaku, it is the Assamese word for gulal in Hindi. And they also throw coins at these dols inside which the murtis are being housed. And devotees who take part in this religious and cultural procession, they sing holy geets, which are exquisite compositions in honor of Sri Krishna. They dance to the tunes of various musical instruments such as dhol, tal, nagara, etc. And these holy geets they are so beautiful. They are a unique literary and musical contribution, I would say, of the rich cultural heritage of Borpeta's Dol Utsav. And here I would also briefly like to talk about a tradition called Bamphanga Porba, or crushing of bamboos, which is associated with this festival, with the Borpeta Dol Utsav. The story begins with Mahaprabhu Sri Sri Dol Govinda leaving behind Ma Lakshmi and going to Ghunucha's place at the Kolabari Hatra. And this is also the story which is mentioned in detail in the Ghunucha Kirtan. However, he is not permitted to enter the premises of his home after he returns, and he is therefore made to pass through a bridge of 4 Holika bamboos, also known as Holika Ba in Assamese. The disciples of Mahaprabhu Dol Govinda and Mahalakshmi subsequently they join in a power battle, in which the bamboos are broken, and the Mahaprabhu once again successfully enters the temple premises. And after having broken this bamboo barrier, the dole of Mahaprabhu Dol Govinda is taken around the Kirtan Ghar, that is the Namghar, 7 times before finally placing him inside the Monikut, which is the main Garbhagriha of the Namghar. And this is also believed to mark the end or the completion of the Dol Utsav celebrations, not just in Borpeta, but also throughout the state of Assam. And the memory of this particular incident is evoked every year during the annual Dol Utsav celebrations at Borpeta Hotel. That's all. I think we can move on to Prerna ji.
Yeah. So, Prerna ji, my question is about some of the rituals that we have seen in Holi actually and how they have transformed over time. One of them is the consumption of bhang, which a lot of newer generation have replaced with alcohol. So, if you could tell us that, And a little bit about the significance of using colors in Holi. So why do you use colors in Holi actually?
Okay. Thank you so much, Ankita ji, for that beautiful story about Lord Krishna. It was wonderful to hear. And Ratnajeet ji, so now as you see, bhang, the process of making bhang and why they used to make it and everything. First of all, the process of making that bhang is a little tedious, and that has been lost. It's only the older, much older generation who actually know how to make it properly. It's a tedious process, but the reason they used to use it was, Ayurvedic. Like Ankita ji had said, Holi marks the transition of finishing the Shishir Ritu, which is the winter season, and we are stepping into spring and preparing our bodies to bear the Indian summer sun, right? So earlier, what our ancestors or our purvajas used to do is they used to, make thandai using various dry fruits and milk and mishri, which is the solid sugar, which has Ayurvedic properties. Everything that cools the body down, and then can lead to a smoother transition from winter, the end of winter, spring, and then we'll be able to bear the summer. So the time after 14th of January, which is when winter ends and then spring begins, and then we officially step into the hot summers, is after Holi. So this is just the breakdown of our seasons, the Indian seasons. So after the 14th, it's kind of technically our spring, and then we are readying our bodies to bear the summer heat. So earlier, what used to happen is flowers, flowers which had colorful properties and cooling properties. So kasturi used to be used instead of gulal used to be used, kasturi used to be used, chandan, fresh chandan, which was actually the process of making chandan on the wooden thing using the stick on the platform. They actually used to make that, and they used to use various flowers, kumkuma, the gulal, the chandan, the kasturi, and all the aromatic flowers and flowers which had those dyes for their Ayurvedic properties. That used to be used, and that used to be used as colors. And they also used to use haldi. Haldi used to be ground, and chuna used to be added to bring out an orange, a typical orange color. And lemon juice used to be used, and various things, organic flowers and products like chandan, kasturi, and aromatic powders used to be used, and they used to be mixed with water, and everybody used to play Holi. So none of these powders or colors or rang that was used in Holi would have any devastating body effects. In fact, they used to have a healthier effect on our system. It used to, like, the color used to stay on your body. Even if you use haldi nowadays, you can see it stays on your skin for quite some time, and it would act like a sunblock or a protection against the sun. But it never had the kind of chemicals that are being used now. At least in my home state of Telangana and Hyderabad, people throw eggs and they use this silver color and all these chemicals. That wasn't the case earlier on. And so the family used to get together. They used to, like Ankita ji said, they used to eat mithai, they used to have this thandai, they used to play with colors, and it used to be a basically healthy thing. There was no alcohol involved in it. I know in thandai and in bhang, they do use marijuana products in it, but that process is actually dying out, and of course that's still illegal in India. That is dying down. But alcohol, no, it just adds to your to the body heat. Our ancestors, even today, Ayurvedic doctors, talk about the vata, pitta, and the kapha, the tridoshas. I don't think alcohol has any positive effect on the tridoshas, whereas the thandai and all the colors and everything would actually balance out the tridoshas.
Yeah, and Prernaji, about the colors as well. Like we used to use Ayurvedic colors now with the industrialization, and we have seen using of chemical colors as well. Does that have lost the value of using those Ayurvedic colors when we see chemical colors being used actually in Holi these days?
Yeah, because it has no health benefits. In fact, there are a lot of people who complain of allergy and skin rashes, and that colors, especially that silver color and that gold color, those just don't even go away. People look discolored and disfigured for days together. Even their hair, after Holi for a couple of days remains a very ugly color. So the health benefits of using these dyes, these powders, and these aromatic flowers and everything has lost its significance because it has no health benefits. In fact, it's detrimental. When you're using colors like that, all these chemicals. So that has been lost. That has completely been lost.
Now, Ankita ji, coming back to another Northeastern festival, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers might not be aware of this. On the full moon day of Lambda, the last month of Manipuri lunar calendar, we have seen a similar kind of ritual that we see in the northern parts of the country of burning thatched hut made of hay, what the Manipuris call Yaoshang Metaba, which marks the beginning of Yaoshang. Tell us viewers about a little more about this festival, and this is the Manipuri version of Holi. So could you speak a little bit about that?
Thank you so much, Ratnaji ji, again for putting across that question. Yes, Yaosham is one of the major Hindu festivals of Manipur. It is a 5-day long event celebrated, as you said, on the full moon day of Lambda. Lambda is the last month of the mighty lunar calendar, and which happens to be either end of February or early March as per the English calendar, around the same time as Holi. In fact, there are several such Hindu festivals in Manipur, like Kang Rath Yatra. There is Hekru Hitongba, which is a traditional Manipuri boat race, and even Ningol Chakoba, I remember for that matter, which is celebrated around the same time as Deepavali and Bhaiya Dooj. And this is the underlying cultural unity, I would say, of this beautiful land, Bharat, which binds each and every region from the north to the south and the west to the northeast into one single territorial entity. Now, what does Yaoshang signify? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is worshipped as the founder of Gaudiya Vaishnavite Dharma in Manipur, is at the center of this festival, Yaoshang. In the morning of the very first day of this festival, the Murti of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is placed in a small thatched hut, and this hut is made of bamboo and some locally grown straws, which is especially constructed for the occasion. I mean, this hut is especially constructed for this occasion, Yaoshang. And after the placing of this Murti, it is then followed by the singing of bhajans and kirtans, offerings of prasadam, and collection of donations from the people of every locality or laikai in Manipuri language by young boys and girls dressed in traditional Manipuri attire. I spoke about the burning of the Mehda during the Dol Utsav celebrations in Borpeta district of Assam. Similarly, in Manipur also, in the evening of the first day, after sunset, I mean on the first day of Yaoshang, the Murti of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is removed from the hut after performing some rituals. And after this, the hut is set on fire amid chants of Hey Hari, Hey Ram, and Hari Bol. And this ritual is known as Yaoshang Mei Thaba in the Manipuri language. The ceremonial hut is being burnt in every Hindu locality of Manipur as an annual reminder of the greatness of Bhagavan Vishnu in his avatar as Narasimha, who had killed the demon Hiranyakashipu. And the ash that is produced from the burned hut is considered to be extremely auspicious. And even today, it is collected and smeared by the devotees on their foreheads. They also decorate the entrances to their homes with the same ash. It not just marks the beginning of Holi in Manipur, but this particular event also it marks the advent of the spring season. Now, coming to the main celebrations of Yaoshang, there is a special ceremony called Nakatheng, which is observed during Yaoshang, in which small children visit nearby homes showering blessings of success, prosperity, and a long and healthy life upon the elders of the family. And in return, these small kids, they receive gifts of money and clothes as a gesture of gratitude. As a part of this Nakathing ceremony, there is a beautiful tradition in which children block roads and also the roadside traffic with ropes to collect money from the passers-by. And the little kids, they are expected to buy sweets and toffees later on with the money that they get and share it among themselves as a celebration of the happy event. Now, here I would like to talk about an important cultural highlight of the Yaoshang festival of Manipur, and that is Thabal Chongba, which is a traditional Manipuri dance where boys and girls hold each other's hands and sing and dance in a circle to the tunes of the traditional Manipuri drum called Pung. The literal meaning of Thabal Chongba is moonlight dance because it is performed only at night. Uh, uh, when it's dark after sunset. And it is a typical Manipuri celebration of get together on the night of Purnima. The Thabal Chongba dance usually takes place on the second day of Yaoshang, but there is no hard and fast rule as such, and it can also take place on the other days of the festival as well, depending upon people's convenience. Married women and young girls of the community, they organize their own Thabal Chongba events, which are known as Mo Thabal or Leshaibi Chak Chanaba. And this happens on the third day of Yaoshang. This has become an inseparable part of Yaoshang, a traditional theater play called Shumang Lila. Yes, Shumang Lila, which is based on the life of Sri Krishna, is another attraction of this festival. Devotional songs called Pala Eshe, dedicated to Govinda or Krishna, are performed by Manipuri Nath Sankirtan bands, which are especially trained for the festival of Yaoshang by the elders of the community. And this tradition is also known as Holi Pala Eshe Shakpa in the Mighty language. It is performed on the occasion of Yaoshang in Manipur at various Hindu religious places of worship, such as the Sri Govindaji temple. Now, when we are discussing about Holi, we of course cannot leave behind the role colors play in our life. Prerna ji has also spoken about this just a few minutes back. Colors constitute a significant aspect of the Yaoshang celebrations as well. People apply colors on the faces of each other in a special ceremony known as Aber Tenaba. And children splash water among themselves with water guns known as pichkari. In fact, the second day of Yaoshang is also better known as, it is popularly known as Pichkari Numit, or the day of Pichkari. And this joy and excitement of playing with colors, it continues till the fifth or the last day of the festival. I'll explain how. Briefly, a procession is being taken out to a local temple where people pray to their different Kul Devis and Devtas by offering gulal. Traditional Manipuri games and sports such as Yubi Lakpi, Mukna, and Lafu Kabi. These are another interesting highlights of the Yaoshang festival, and these are mostly organized by local clubs and communities in their own local grounds, and sometimes even on the roadside during the 5 days of Yaoshang. It begins with a huge procession from the Kangla Fort in Manipur to inaugurate the local sports meet. Small children, local clubs, and various other important personalities of the state, they converge at the Kangla Fort to light their torches, and then they carry this sacred flame to the sports complex where the events are being organized. And actually, the main idea behind organizing games and sports competitions is to infuse in the youth of Manipur, what I've understood from my research, is to infuse among the youth the importance of living a healthy life free from diseases, considering the fact that both drugs and alcohol have become a threat, a menace among the youth of the state. Finally, Yaoshang comes to an end with a special religious ceremony called Rajamai that takes place on the 5th and the last day of this festival. Women set out from the Bijoy Govinda temple to the Sri Sri Govindaji temple to perform a ritual called Halankar, which is a reenactment of various scenes from Krishna Leela in the form of music and dance. And after the ceremony of Halankar comes to an end, the women splash colors and sindoor on one another, which formally marks the closure of this festival. I think there is a lot to say. I've taken much of the time that's all about Yaoshang. We can move on to Prerna ji.
Yeah, I will actually, and thank you so much for giving us such a brief understanding of how the different customs are actually in the northeastern parts, and very similar we are seeing in the northern parts as well. So I will come to the final celebration, but before that, I have a question for Prerna ji. So we have seen Holi as one of the festivals of colors, celebration, but also that has been used by some groups actually who run the campaign of Holi against Hindutva, a mostly Hindu-phobic initiative by group to actually voice something different during a time of the festival of celebration. Could you enlighten our viewers a little more of what happened and how this Hindu-phobic initiative was actually used?
Ratnajeet ji, the thing is, Holi, as we had discussed and Ankita ji had beautifully explained to all of us, and as we all as Indians living here see, the entire community comes together, irrespective of caste or gender or sampradaya or anything, and they celebrate it as a community. So this is a community festival of unity and togetherness. And when there are certain forces who are always busy peddling that narrative of there is Brahminical patriarchy, caste supremacy, caste oppression, obviously when that is the narrative they need to peddle, and here we have a festival where we are completely trying to be positive about everything, join each other as a community and celebrate our festival of Sanatana Dharma, of our Hinduism. Obviously it's going to hurt them. That's why this conspiracy of Holi against Hindutva. I still don't understand what is Holi against Hindutva. The essence of being Hindu is celebrated during this festival of Holi. We celebrate our gods. We celebrate new beginnings and everything. And then this Holi against Hindutva is just nonsense. Half of it, and of course, Holika is a Bahujan, so maybe probably they're celebrating her. I'm not sure. Ravan is a Dalit and Holika is a Bahujan. Rishi Kashyap and Diti Devi, they have no idea about what they talk about, and then they peddle this narrative.
Yeah. So Ankita ji, the final question that I want to ask you is about the festival of Dol Yatra that's celebrated in Dol Govinda temple in Assam, which is in Kamrup. What's the cultural importance of this temple and the festival, if you could enlighten our viewers about that?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so the Dol Govinda temple, it is dedicated to Sri Krishna. It is one of the oldest and most famous temples in Assam, located in North Guwahati on the foothills of the Chandravati Pahar. All festivals associated with Bhagavan Krishna's life are celebrated here. Holi being, of course, one of the most important ones, besides Janmashtami and Maghi Purnima as well. But Holi is the main festival of significance and attraction of the Dol Govinda temple, and it is celebrated for over a period of 5 days here. During any other ordinary day, the worship of the deity begins with the opening of the temple, and the murti of Bhagavan Krishna is bathed in water and milk, followed by archana, and by the evening, in the afternoon, offering bhog to the deity. In the month of Fagun, that is sometimes between mid-February and mid-March, the festivities of Holi, commonly known here as Dol Jatra, begin almost a week before at the Dol Govinda temple. Various programs are organized in the vicinity of this temple to mark the celebrations of, as a mark of the pre-Holi celebrations, I would say. The murti of Sri Krishna is taken out in a palanquin for colorful processions across the place. Devotees sing and dance to the rhythm of musical instruments like dhol, khol, tal, nagara, etc., while throwing pakua. Pakua is the Assamese word for gulal at each other. Now, coming to the cultural significance of this temple that you had put across the question. The popular story associated with this temple is that the Murti of Sri Krishna, which is consecrated at the main Garbhagriha of this temple, it was found miraculous. It has a story behind it. It was once rumored that a milk-giving cow used to free herself every day before dawn and enter the forests of a place called Sandhya Jhar, which is located near the hamlet of Jekeria. It is a place in Rongia subdivision of Kamrup district of Lower Assam. And one day, it so happened that the cow was stopped by a small grass called Birina, after which milk began to flow spontaneously and continuously kept flowing from her udders at the same place where the Dol Govinda temple is presently located. Now, when the then Sadar administrator of the area, Gauragram Borua, his name was, when he heard about this incident, he himself went to the particular spot on the back of an elephant to witness the entire episode and then ordered his men to dig that place. A beautiful murti of Sri Krishna made of a rare black stone and playing the flute or basuri was eventually discovered after the digging was complete. And it was the same murti of Sri Govinda which was later on consecrated at the Dol Govinda temple on the Holi Utsav. Another murti of Sri Shamarai stands near to the murti of Govinda. And the locals in North Guwahati are of the opinion that the origins of the Dol Govinda temple have a faint resemblance with the Khatu Sham temple dedicated to Khatu Sham ji or Barbari, who is a character from the Mahabharata. And this Khatu Sham ji's temple is situated in the village of Khatu Sham ji in Sikar district of Rajasthan. And this connection of the Dol Govinda temple with Khatu Sham ji's mandir in Rajasthan, I think it can also be understood from the fact that just a few days before the beginning of Holi, the famous Khatu Sham ji Nishan Rath Yatra begins in Nagaon district of Assam as a mark of the pre-Holi festivities. And this Khatu Sham ji Nishan Yatra continues for 3 to 4 days, and devotees carrying yellow flags called Nishan in their hands, they walk barefoot to reach the Sham temple in Nagaon and have a darshan of Khatu Sham ji before they formally begin celebrating Holi. In fact, Khatu Sham or Barbari has a lot of recognition among the people of Assam. It is also believed that, by joining the Nishan Yatra and offering the yellow piece of flag to Khatu Sham ji at the Khatu Sham ji temple in Nagaon, all kinds of problems in life can be overcome. And even today, there are many families in several parts of Assam who begin the Dol Jatra celebrations only after having a darshan of Khatu Sham ji at Nagaon. So that's all.
Yeah. Finally, I want to ask Prerna ji and Ankita ji, if you could briefly tell our viewers, how do you celebrate Holi? Prerna ji, you can go ahead first, and then Ankita ji can carry on.
Okay. Well, we just celebrate Holi the regular way. We go to the temple, offer our prayers, partake the prasadam, come back home, visit family and friends with sweets and with colors, play with the kids, and then come back home again for evening prayers. A day before, over here in Hyderabad, we do have that Holika Dahan. Some people do it, on 2 days, a day before and on the day of the Purnima. So yeah, that's just the normal celebration. Ankita ji?
Yes, of course. Holi for me is spending time with family, and I think Prerna ji has already beautifully summarized it. It is about the very mention of Holi, actually. It invokes in my mind the image of color, gulal, and community celebrations, Holika Dehen, which is tomorrow here in North India, and food, of course, homemade, tasty delicacies. And but I see that the vibe is dampening with each successive year for various reasons, and we miss the old days, when I mean, I see a reduced enthusiasm. Maybe also a result of some kind of hooliganism by untoward elements which has struck some kind of a fear in the minds of the people. But overall, it is a time always for celebration and spending time with family, uh, eating tasty treats at home. That's all.
Well, thank you so much, Prerna ji and Ankita ji, for enlightening all our viewers about the historical significance of Holi, the special celebration across the country. Indeed, through the session, one thing was very common, that Holi is just not the festival of color, but also the celebration of love and victory over good over evil. And it's one festival that unites us all. So I was reminded by one of the festivals that's celebrated by the community of Sikhs actually. The 10th Sikh Guru, actually, Guru Gobind Singh, believed that the festival should be used to showcase the martial arts of the community. And this came to be known as Hola Mohalla actually. So I look forward to having more such conversation with you in the future. Thank you once again for taking your time and speaking to us.
Thank you.
Namaste and have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy Holi. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having me.
Happy Holi to all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, wishing all our viewers a very happy Holi from the Citti Media team.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.